UFC Fight Night Hermansson versus Strickland full card prediction. Now, if you look at the card as of right now, it doesn't look too good because there's literally only 2 main card fights, but it's just been announced that this is the main card order. The main event, Jack Hermansson versus Sean Strickland. Co-main events, Punihil Soriano, Nick Maximov, Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Carlson Harris, Sam Alvey, Phil Hawes, Tresean, Gore, and Bryan battle, and then Julian, Erosa, and Steven Peterson. I'm pretty sure that is going to be the main card. The prelims got Miles Johns and John Castañeda, Hakeem, Dawodu, and Michael Trizano, Chidi and Njokuani, and Marc André Barriault. Jason Witt versus Philip Rowe, Alexis Davis versus Julija Stoliarenko, Jailton Almeida, Danilo Marques, and Malcolm Gordon, and of course is gonna be Dennis Bondar making his UFC debut. Of course, the bout order on Tapology is gonna be a little bit different because it just got announced. The new bout order, which is this right here, but it's going to be a good card right here. We got up-and-comers, a lot of guys making their UFC debut, like Tresean Gore, like Dennis Bondar, like Jailton Almeida, Chidi and Njokuani, and I'm pretty sure that's about it for the UFC debutants, but we got very good prospects. Shavkat Rakhmonov's on here. We got Hakeem Dawodu. We got, of course, Jailton Almeida, Punihil, Nick Maximov, and, of course, the main event. So it'll be a good card. I can't wait to see what happens here, but yeah, that's pretty much all the things that we will be talking about in today's live stream. So let's go on and do the first fight, which is going to be Malcolm Gordon and Dennis Bondar right here. Really good fight in the flyweight division. Malcolm Gordon and Dennis Bondar in the flyweight division. 29 and a half years old and 31 years old. Dennis Bondar, I would say, is going to have the size advantage here. He's had a lot of other fights that were supposed to happen in the bantamweight division. If you look at the fight with Victor Rodriguez, supposed to happen in the UFC bantamweight division. Ode Osborne, supposed to happen at 140 pounds. Then the last time he was supposed to fight Malcolm Gordon was at flyweight. So he's had some experience going up to the bantamweight and even training to fight at 140 pounds. So I believe he will have the size advantage. And of course, Dennis Bondar will go out there with, I would say, a very, very big wrestling and grappling advantage. He's on a crazy win streak as of right now. Submission win, knockout win, submission win, knockout win, submission win, and a submission win. His grappling and wrestling is going to be so dominant in this fight, in my opinion, because Malcolm Gordon's takedown defense, it really is not the best. If you look at Malcolm Gordon's takedown defense in the UFC, 0%. It's really not the best there. He got taken down by Amir Albazi and submitted in the very first round. Got taken down by Francisco Figueiredo twice. That's not a good look. To be taken down by a guy like Francisco Figueiredo, who, to be quite honest with you, is not a good wrestler and grappler, that is not a good look whatsoever. And the other thing is, he doesn't really have the best chin. Got knocked down many times against Suma Derji and then got knocked out. On the regional scene, got knocked out, and he got knocked out. So there's a good chance Dennis Bondar goes out there, submits him or TKOs him, because pretty much every single loss for Malcolm Gordon has been a finish. So my prediction here is going to be Dennis Bondar by a finish. He's got very, very good wrestling and grappling. The striking is a little bit underrated. He's still pretty solid on the feet. He's got some good boxing, some decent leg kicks and body kicks. But of course, his main game plan is take the fight down and get that submission. And to be quite honest with you, he's going to get that submission. So my prediction here, Dennis Bondar versus Malcolm Gordon, is of course gonna be Dennis Bondar in the first or second round by a submission. Really good fight in the flyweight division. Danilo Marques and Jailton Almeida in the light heavyweight division. Now, Jailton Almeida, let's give a round of applause. Oh my god, this dude's an absolute beast. Now, I watched him on Dana White's Contender Series. He was the underdog in the fight against Nasrudinov, an undefeated Russian prospect. And I'm going to be honest with you. You go back and look at my prediction for Jailton Almeida and Nasrudinov. I had Jailton Almeida winning that fight by submission in the second round. That's exactly what happened. The man's grappling is absolutely amazing. He's been in so so many grappling and jiu-jitsu bouts. If you look right here, 4 jiu-jitsu fights in a row, and one of them was a win over Barriault, who's also going to be fighting in the UFC. He's got a lot of other wins, mainly coming by submission, but he's got the striking as well. That's the thing, when you look at a guy like Jailton Almeida, a Brazilian, a lot of grappling, jiu-jitsu contests, you would think his only way of winning would be on the ground with the jiu-jitsu, with the submission game. But I really don't care. Even if he's not able to take down Danilo Marques this entire fight, I'm still going to go Jailton Almeida to knock out Danilo Marques. He's got amazing striking as well. He's very lengthy guy, 79-inch reach. Going to be a little bit smaller in terms of height, but he does have some really good kicking game. He got really good body case, really good right hand. He's just a very powerful striker as well. So even if the fight does stay on the feet, I'm still going to go Jailton Almeida to win the fight by knockout. But, of course, eventually, one way or another, I mean, if Jailton's able to go out there, take down Nasruddinov and submit him by rear naked in the second round, Nasruddin, who, to be honest with you, I believe is a better wrestler and grappler than Danilo Marques. If he's able to take him down that easily, he should be able to take down Danilo Marques and submit him in the first or second round. I do believe that's what's going to happen. I do believe Jailton Almeida will get a submission here in the first or second round, but again, if the fight stays in defeat, I still think that Jailton Almeida does enough and gets the knockout. So either way, KO, TKO, or submission, most likely I am going to be inching toward the side of a submission here between Jailton Almeida and Danilo Marques. Really good fight in the light heavyweight division. Alexis Davis and Julija Stoliarenko in the bantamweight division. Now, Alexis Davis not doing too good recently, but she is a 2-1 favor on the betting odds as of right now. Both girls kind of on that little edge where if they lose this fight, they could honestly be cut from the UFC. Alexis Davis, 37 years old, a little bit smaller, a little bit less lengthy, and is only 1-4 in her last 5 fights. Before that, beating decent opponents, not really the best, but Liz Carmouche, Sabina Mazo, Cindy Dandois, Sarah Kaufman, Jessica Ai, Liz Carmouche again, and only losing a champion, Ronda Rousey, ranked Sarah McMahon, top 5 Caitlin Chukagian, top 5 Jennifer Maia, top 5 Viviane Araújo, and top 15 Penny Kianza. So all the girls that Alexis Davis is losing to are ranked opponents in the UFC Women's Bantamweight division. When she does fight those unranked girls, up-and-comers like Sabina Mazo, like Cindy Dandois, Sarah Kaufman, all of these girls who are kind of outside the top 15, sort of trying to inch their way in, she tends to win those fights because she has the experience. She's been in the game for quite a while. I mean, her first professional MMA fight back in 2007, absolutely insane. But I'm going to be honest with you, she's got way better wrestling than Julija Stoliarenko. The striking, it's going to be even, I would say. I would still give a slight advantage to Alexis Davis. If you look at her last fight with, I believe it was Penny Kianza, if I'm remembering correctly, her striking looked pretty solid as well. You look right there, 132 strikes to 124 strikes, 52% accuracy as well, landing more regular strikes as well, landing a takedown in the fight as well. I mean, her striking is nothing to really scoff at. It's still very solid. If you look at her UFC fights inside the UFC, I mean, she honestly has better striking than Julija Stoliarenko, landing double the amount of volume, landing 10% better striking accuracy. Yeah, she's absorbing a little bit more, but she's facing way better competition. And of course, there is that wrestling, landing one takedown per fight, and going out there just destroying Sabina Mazo in their fight, landing 3 takedowns with 8 minutes and 50 seconds of total control time. I see that happening here. On the feet, I see the striking being very even. If Alexis is keeping the striking that even with a girl like Penny Kianza, a much better striker than Julija Stoliarenko, the striking should be very even. And of course, with the takedowns of Alexis Davis, she should be able to control the fight on the ground and win the fight by decision. I mean, yeah, Julija does have a lot of arm bars, got the armbar win over Liza Versosa, but she's 0-2 in the UFC, a lot of arm bars out of the UFC against not the best competition. I mean, 0-1, 2-4, and then 4-2 right there is not too bad, but she's not fighting anywhere near the competition of Alexis. Alexis, slightly better striker, slightly better wrestler, slightly better grappler, more experience everywhere you look at the fight. Alexis Davis has the advantage, so easy prediction there. Alexis Davis by a unanimous decision, 30-27 on all of the judges' scorecards. Really good fight in the women's bantamweight division. Jason Witt and Philip Rowe in the welterweight division. Now, this one, it's going to be a 50-50 fight. I mean, yeah, you can see the height, you can see the reach. It is absolutely insane. Philip Rowe is going to be, 5 inches taller than Jason Witt, have a 10.5 inch reach advantage over Jason Witt. All of that is absolutely insane, but none of that matters if Philip Rowe cannot defend the takedown. That is why this fight is going to be pretty 50-50. 80% is going Rowe, but I see it as a much closer fight than that, because Jason Witt does have the wrestling advantage, and he's going to be smaller, he's going to be less lengthy, and that really is going to force him to just start throwing big shots and look for that double leg takedown. We know that's definitely a possibility for Jason Witt to land that takedown, because inside of the UFC, look at that, 6.46 takedowns landed in the UFC in every single fight out there. Philip Rowe with a 50% takedown defense, getting taken down twice by Gabe Green, getting taken down once by Leon Shabazian, and getting taken down twice by Orion Kosi, and controlled for 6 minutes and 34 seconds. That is why you just never know with this type of fight. If he's getting taken down in pretty much every single one of his fights in the UFC, fighting a guy like Jason Witt, who is a better wrestler and grappler than the other guys that Philip Rowe has been taken down by, it's a close fight. It can go either way. Either one scenario for the fight would be Jason Witt just taking him down and kind of doing what he did in that fight with Cole Williams, and just dominating on top with ground and pound, and maybe getting a late finish or a decision. The other outcome would be that Jason Witt's chin just does not hold up. I mean, he lost that fight to Matthew Semmelsberger, I believe, less than 30 seconds in the very first round. What was it? 16 seconds. And then, of course, the fight with Takashi Sato in 48 seconds. Knockout loss, submission loss, and knockout loss. Every single loss is a finish right there. So either Jason Witt goes out there, out wrestles Philip Rowe for 3 rounds and gets a decision, or Philip Rowe keeps range, defend the takedowns, and he just keeps on teeing off on Jason Witt in this entire fight and gets a knockout in the first or second round. I'm going to be leaning towards Philip Rowe to get the knockout here, but it is a very close fight. What are the betting odds? So it is minus 155 for Philip Rowe right there. Originally, it was at the peak, it was at minus 175. So it's a close fight. I'm definitely going to go Philip Rowe to win. It's just based off the chin of Jason Witt, which is absolute garbage. So yeah, my prediction, Philip Rowe by knockout in the first or second round. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Marc-Andre Barriault and Chidi and Njokuani in the middleweight division. Chidi, very good kickboxer. He's going to be a little bit older, a little bit taller, and a heck of a lot lengthier. 7-inch reach advantage and a 2-inch height advantage. You already know the game plan for Chidi and Njokuani. Don't grapple, don't wrestle, stay at range, jab and 1-2 and leg kicking, body kicking, and win a very close decision. That is the game plan for Chidi and Njokuani, is to point strike for 3 rounds and get that decision. But if you know anything about the power bar, Marc-Andre Barriault, you know he's going to go out there with heavy pressure, just coming forward, landing that volume for 3 straight rounds, and just, I believe Chidi and Njokuani is just going to succumb to that pressure, yeah? He's got very good striking, but the fights that he's losing, his opponents are either like pressuring the heck out of him in the striking, or they're wrestling and grappling him. And I do believe there's a possibility that Marc-Andre Barriault can land a takedown here. The 2 finish losses that Chidi does have in his career, John Salter and Andrei Koreshkov, they both took him down and they finished him on the ground. Jeremy Kimball took him down and finished him on the ground. Brandon Thatch, I'm not too sure if I remember what happened there, but the main similarity to a lot of Chidi and Njokuani's losses is that he's getting taken down or he's just getting really, really pressured. And I do believe that the pressure of Marc-Andre Barriault is really going to limit the gassing of Chidi and Njokuani, kind of making it easier for Marc-Andre Barriault to land those takedowns later on in the fight. If you look right here, Marc-Andre Barriault does have a 25% takedown accuracy, but that's not really what we want to look at, because he does not go like fully 100% on those takedowns. He's just pressuring the heck out of you over and over and over again, landing that volume, and eventually, if he does get you onto the ground like he did with Abu Azaitar, I mean, the ground and pound he landed in that fight with 6 minutes of control time, 43 shots on the ground, I can definitely see that happening here. Do I think that Chidi and Njokuani is going to get TKO'd here? It's possible. It is definitely possible, but I do believe Marc-Andre is going to keep the first round and the second round on the feet, just pressuring the heck out of Chidi and Njokuani, winning both of those rounds, and then in the third round, landing that takedown, landing a lot of ground and pound, and looking for that finish. But Chidi and Njokuani is a tough guy. He wants to stay in the UFC. This is his time. I don't think this is necessarily going to be the fight for Chidi and Njokuani to break into the UFC. A guy like Marc-Andre Barriault, really good volume, really good pressure, and really, really good cardio, doesn't really mesh with Chidi and Njokuani. He does not do good with good wrestlers or with guys that have really, really good pressure striking. So that is why I'm going to go Marc-Andre Barriault to win the fight by a decision. I'm pretty sure the betting odds are like 50-50 as of right now. Let's see if I can find it. It is, wow, Chidi and Njokuani is the favorite on some of these betting odds. That is very, very interesting. So yeah, I am going to go Marc-Andre Barriault, but it is a very, very good fight in the UFC middleweight division. Hakeem, Dawodu, and Mike Trizano in the featherweight division. Really, really solid fight. We got a Muay Thai kickboxing type of guy in Hakeem Dawodu. Then we have more of a, I would say, boxer who likes to mix in the kicks every now and then in Mike Trizano. Now, let's look at who has the advantage. Hakeem Dawodu, I would say, has the volume advantage. He has the power advantage, and he will have the speed advantage as well. Mike Trizano has, I would say, the boxing advantage, but that doesn't really mean much when you have Hakeem just attacking the legs with leg kicks, with body kicks, and things like that. So I do believe Mike Trizano is going to go out there, heavy pressure, looking to kind of do what Moves or Evil did in the last fight and come forward hard on Hakeem Dawodu. Heavy pressure with the boxing and trying to mix in the wrestling. That would be the main game plan if I were Mike Trizano. Go out there, heavy boxing pressure, and look for the takedowns. He's not really a wrestler or grappler, but he's got a 50% takedown accuracy in the UFC. He did get taken down 4 times by Ludwig Klein. Wasn't really controlled in the fight too often, but I mean, fighting a guy like Hakeem Dawodu, you're not going to beat him in the striking. I'm going to say that right now. You are not going to go out there and beat Hakeem Dawodu on the feet. His volume is absolutely amazing, landing 1.5 more strikes per minute, has slightly around the same striking accuracy. That's because he is fighting much better competition. The striking defense is very even, but Hakeem Dawodu has got way better kicks. The leg kicks, the body kicks, the front kicks, and the boxing is going to be very even. So if the fight does happen to stay on the feet for the entire 3 rounds, I'm going to go Hakeem Dawodu to win the fight by a 30-27 decision. And if I were Mike Trizano, you got to learn from how is Hakeem Dawodu losing his fights. We got the Danny Henry loss. It was a guillotine choke submission loss. That was on the ground. Moves are evilly going out there, taking down a Hakeem Dawodu like 9 times in the fight and losing that one by unanimous decision. Zubair Tukhugov taking him down. Julio Arce taking him down. Kyle Bochniak taking him down. That's the only way you're going to beat a guy like Hakeem Dawodu, is to take him down, out-wrestle, and out-grapple. And again, is Mike Trizano that good of a wrestler or grappler? I do not think so. I don't think he's going to be able to land the takedowns consistently throughout the fight. This one will be a striking fight. And of course, I'm going to go Hakeem Dawodu to win. He's got way better striking, way better Muay Thai, way better speed, way better power. And he should use that to win the fight by unanimous decision. Really good fight in the UFC featherweight division. Miles Johns and John Castañeda in the UFC bantamweight division. John Castañeda, isn't necessarily the most active fighter in the UFC. I mean, in the last 3 years, he's only had 3 fights, so only 1 fight per year, and in the last 4 years, has only had 4 fights, so he's not the most active guy in the UFC compared to a guy like Miles Johns, who's a very, very good wrestler, and has some solid striking as well, as he's shown in the last 2 fights with Anderson dos Santos and Kevin Natividad. The only fight he's lost inside the UFC and in his professional MMA career, he went for a takedown and got that flying knee and got knocked out. Do I think that's going to happen again? No, I do not. Come on, guys. But he does have wins over Adrian Yanez, Cole Smith, Kevin Natividad, Anderson dos Santos, and a couple of other guys on the regional scene as well. I do believe that Miles Johns will have the wrestling advantage. He will have, I would say, the power advantage over John Castañeda. But in terms of volume, in terms of speed, in terms of pure skill, in terms of the striking, John Castañeda is going to have the advantage. I mean, in his last fight with Eddie Wineland, went out there, showed amazing striking in that one, knocking out Eddie Wineland in the very first round. He looked very, very good in that fight. Before that, he had a pretty good test. I mean, he fought Nathaniel Wood, and Nathaniel Wood, he's a very, very good striker over there, and honestly, John Castañeda got pretty much dominated in that fight, but I'm not going to take too much from that one because, of course, Nathaniel Wood is just an absolute beast in this bantamweight division, but we really got to look at that wrestling. The striking going to be very, very even. The strikes landed is very, very similar. The striking accuracy is very, very similar. The striking defense isn't that good for John Castañeda, mainly because of that fight with Nathaniel Wood, but the thing we really got to look at to kind of figure out who exactly will win the fight is going to be that takedown. The takedown and the wrestling of Miles Johns are much better. You look at the last couple of fights for Miles Johns. I mean, in the last fight with Anderson dos Santos, he didn't even have to use the wrestling and grappling because his striking was absolutely off. I mean, he went off on Anderson dos Santos in that fight. It was an absolutely amazing fight there. Had 3 minutes of control time on Kevin Natividad as well. Had how much control time did he have on here? He had 2 minutes and 52 seconds. He actually got controlled by Cole Smith, which is very, very interesting. And then he had those 3 takedowns on Richie Santiago. Now that I'm thinking about it, his wrestling has not been too good in the UFC, so it's a tough fight to predict. I mean, originally, you might think, because Miles Johns does have a decent wrestling background on the regional scene in his MMA career. He did land a lot of takedowns. His wrestling and grappling has looked very, very solid. But I don't know, is he going to be able to take down John Castañeda is my question. Because John does have a 60% takedown defense, only getting taken down by Eddie Wineland in the last fight and controlled for, 12 seconds in that one. Against Nathaniel Wood, controlled by, 49 seconds in that fight. And Shaden Lee Lohe, I have no idea how long he was controlled there, so it's a tough fight to predict. I would say the odds are absolutely off on this fight. If you look at the betting odds, minus 238 to plus 200, absolutely ridiculous. It's a much closer fight. Miles Johns and John Castañeda have similar volume, but John is the faster striker and Miles Johns is the more powerful striker. It's a very, very tough fight, so I'm gonna go John Castañeda. I mean, originally, when I first looked at the fight, I was gonna go Miles Johns, considering he does have that power advantage and he does have a little bit of a wrestling background to fall back on. But I'm going to be honest with you, John Castañeda is much faster, and in this fight with Miles Johns, I think he's going to land more volume, defend the takedowns, keep the fight on the feet, and I'm going to go John Castañeda as the underdog right here to win the fight by a decision. So it'll be a good fight either way. I think whoever wins, it will be a decision. I don't think there's been many instances where John Castañeda has been knocked out. If you look at the losses, only one knockout loss early in his career to Matt Brown. I don't think he's going to get knocked out again here. Fights just stay on the feet. Whoever wins, it'll be a decision in my opinion, and I'm going to go the underdog in John Castañeda, but it's a very good fight in the UFC bantamweight division. Julian Erosa and Steven Peterson in the featherweight division. Now, Julian Erosa, 32 years old, a little bit older than Steven Peterson, a little bit taller than Steven Peterson, and a little bit lengthier than Steven Peterson. I'm going to be honest, Julian is the better fighter wherever you look at the fight. He's taller, he's lengthier, he's a better striker, he's a better grappler, he's got better jiu-jitsu, he's got better wrestling. Wherever you look at this fight, Julian Erosa is the better fighter. And yeah, Steven Peterson might be able to pull on some crazy spinning back fists like he did against Martin Bravo, but I'm going to be honest with you, that's not going to happen. Julian Erosa, yeah, he doesn't have the best chin. He's got knocked out many times by Sungwoo Choi, Julio Arce, Devontae Smith, Bobby McKinstry, Teruta Inshahara. I mean, so many times Julian Erosa has been knocked out, but if you're thinking about a guy that's going to knock out Julian Erosa, Steven Peterson is not going to be at the top of the list. He does have 6 knockout wins in his career in the UFC, only has that one over Martin Bravo, so I don't necessarily think there's going to be a knockout here. If Julian Erosa wins, yeah, I think it'll be a finish. But, yeah, Steven Peterson needs to go out there and just go crazy with the striking, throw in some huge shots, and just looking to get that knockout on Julian Erosa. Because that's the main way he's going to win. Other than that, Julian is faster, he's more powerful. He can easily take the fight down and get that Darce choke, as we saw in the last fight with Charles Jourdain. So, grappling, wrestling, striking, wherever you look at it, Julian Erosa is going to win the fight. So I'm not too sure if he's going to win by a knockout on the feet or if it's going to be a submission here. Because Steven Peterson has shown a decent durability in terms of the striking and in terms of the shots that he's able to absorb. Because if you look at the losses, he's only had one knockout loss, and it was way long time ago to George Pakarui, if I'm saying that one correctly. So he's not really one of the guys that's getting finished in a lot of his fights, but Julian Erosa is he's a finisher, or he does get finished, and I do believe Julian Erosa goes out there, gets a fight down eventually, and does get a submission in the second round right there. It could be a knockout. I could definitely be a knockout for Julian Erosa, but I'm going to go a submission in the second round by a Darce choke. Really good fight in the featherweight division. Bryan Battle and Tresean Gore in the middleweight division. 27 years old, and guess what? 27 years old. Now, let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of Tresean Gore versus Bryan Battle. Bryan Battle, better grappler, better wrestler, is going to be a little bit taller, a little bit lengthier than Tresean Gore. Those are a couple advantages there, which does mean that Tresean landing his strikes does have to go into that range, which could lead to Bryan Battle maybe level changing and getting a takedown. That's definitely possible. So those are the strengths for Bryan Battle, is that he's lengthier, which could lead to more opportunities to land the takedown on Tresean Gore. Now, if you look at the advantages for Tresean Gore, wow, he's got a lot of advantages. He's got the power advantage. He has the speed advantage. He's got the technique advantage. He's got the boxing advantage. He's got the strength advantage, in my opinion. I mean, Bryan Battle's a very strong guy, but Tresean Gore is a very strong guy. Very athletic, very fast, very powerful. I mean, the man is a physical specimen in there. Every strike he lands is an absolute world beater. I mean, the body kicks that he was letting on Gilbert Urbina and Ryder Newman, oh my god, those shots were absolutely insane. So I do believe Tresean Gore is going to win here. I do believe there is a possibility maybe Bryan Battle could wrestle and grapple Tresean Gore. We haven't really got to see how good Tresean Gore is going to be in those later rounds if he does get taken down. In the Ryder Newman fight, he did go to a decision there, but it wasn't one of those fights where he was getting it wasn't really getting tested. He wasn't really using as much cardio as he will be using in this fight with Bryan Battle. Bryan is really going to have to go out there in the first and second round and really kind of drain on that gas tank of Tresean Gore in the wrestling and grappling. But to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to happen. Tresean Gore knows exactly what he has coming for him. Finding a guy like Bryan Battle, he knows Bryan's going to go out there and wrestle and grapple, and for that, he's going to do a lot of training sessions just wrestling and grappling and wrestling and grappling, and his cardio is going to get better in the next few days. So I do believe he will defend a lot of the takedowns from Bryan Battle, maybe 1 or 2 lands for Bryan, but overall, I do believe the fight stays on the feet, and Tresean being faster, more powerful, more agile, more physical. I mean, just overall the way better striker. I'm definitely going to go Tresean Gore to win the fight by a decision. Bryan Battle is a very tough guy. I do not think that Tresean Gore is going to knock him out. I mean, he didn't knock out Ryder Newman, and Bryan Battle is a heck of a lot more durable than Ryder Newman. So I think the fight goes all the way. Tresean Gore by a decision right there. Really good fight in the middleweight division. division, Sam Alvey and Phil Hawes in the middleweight division. Now, Phil Hawes, he's going to have the better wrestling, he's going to have the better technique, going to be a little bit lengthier than Sam Alvey as well, going to be a little bit faster, but he does not have the best chin. I mean, he got wobbled easily and got knocked out by Chris Curtis in the last fight. Yeah, Chris Curtis is a very powerful guy. I mean, he knocked out both Phil Hawes and Brendan Allen in the last 2 fights, but he's been knocked out by Julian Marques as well. And I don't know. There's a possibility. That's why I don't like this fight. Of course, the logical answer to who's going to win here is going to be Phil Hawes, maybe by TKO, maybe by a decision, but you just never know with smiling Sam Alvey. He's got decent counter-punching, knocking out Marcin Paragno, knocking out Kevin Casey, Eric Spicely, submitting Eric Spicely right there, but you never do know with Sam Alvey. He can just counter and just start throwing crazy shots, and he can definitely knock out Phil Hawes, especially after watching the last fight with Chris Curtis and Phil Hawes. You just never know. You never do know. Now, of course, I'm going to go Phil Hawes to win, and I do believe it will be a decision. I believe he's got way better, way faster, way better striking, got way better technique, and it's just going to overall stay at range and just out volume, out speed, out power, and out everything Sam Alvey for 3 straight rounds on the feet, and he might be able to mix in 1 or 2 takedowns here and there as well. So overall, my prediction will be Phil Hawes by a 30-27 decision. I believe he beats Sam Alvey on the feet, takes him down every now and then, a little bit of ground and pound, and he wins the fight by a 30-27 decision. I just never know with that counter-punching ability of Sam Alvey. But come on, he's on what? A 5-6 fight losing streak. Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, Jimmy Crute, Clinton Abreu, Ryan Spann, Dawodu Jung, Julian Marquez, and Wellington Turman. So, come on, guys. Phil Hawes should definitely win the fight. That's what I said against Chris Curtis as well, but you just never do know right here. So I'm going to go Phil Hawes by a 30-27 decision. Really good fight in the middleweight division. Shavkat Rakhmonov and Carlston Harris in the welterweight division. Now, we have one of the biggest prospects in the UFC welterweight division besides Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev and Shavkat Rakhmonov, honestly, are like right here. I can kind of move them back and forth because they are both just that good. If you were hyped on Khamzat Chimaev, you should be hyped on Shavkat Rakhmonov, because Shavkat probably has equal or even better wrestling than Khamzat Chimaev. He's got probably equal or better grappling than Khamzat Chimaev, and the striking, he probably has equal or better striking than Khamzat Chimaev. Everywhere you look at Shavkat Rakhmonov, the man is an absolute beast, but the same thing can be said for Carlston Harris. Carlston is a very solid striker, got really good kicks at range, very good left hook, right hook combinations as well, got a good kicking game, body kicks, leg kicks, and things like that, but for the first time in a while, he's not going to be that much taller and that much lengthier. He's actually going to be less tall and less lengthy fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov. Well, if you look at the last fights for Carlston Harris, he was used to being the taller, used to being the taller, lengthier guy. Against Impa Kasanganay, he was 1 inch taller, and he had a 1 inch reach advantage. Against Christian Aguilera, he was, 3 inches taller and had a 4 inch reach advantage. He's used to be a lot taller, a lot lengthier than his opponents, but fighting Shavkat Rakhmonov, he's not going to have that luxury of being able to land the shots at range. Shavkat is the better boxer. Carlston Harris probably going to be the better kickboxer than Shavkat Rakhmonov, but Shavkat will come forward with those boxing combinations, land on Carlston Harris, get his back to the cage, and even though Carlston Harris has very good submissions, got, I believe, 7, 8, maybe even 9 submission wins on his record, got 5 submission wins on his record right now. Even though he's got very good wrestling and grappling, he is no match for Shavkat on the ground. Shavkat's wrestling and grappling, he's going to maul him. He's going to Khamzat Chimaev him, and we're going to have a new name for the Khamzat Smash Chimaev, and that will be Shavkat Rakhmonov. Shavkat's going to go out there, outbox Carlston Harris, get his back to the cage, take him down, and he is going to ground and pound him until eventually he submits the grappler. I know, a lot of you guys might be thinking, how is he going to submit a guy in Carlston Harris who is such a good wrestler and grappler? The reason is, Shavkat is even better in wrestling wrestling and grappling. I do believe Shavkat will win the fight by submission in the first or second round, coming off a guillotine over Alex Oliveira and a rear naked over Michael Brazeres. I'm going to go another rear naked choke submission on Carlston Harris. Really good fight in the welterweight division. Punihl Soriano and Nick Maximov in the middleweight division. Nick Maximov undefeated at 7 wins and 0 losses. A little bit taller and a lot lengthier right there, having, I believe, a 3.5-inch reach advantage. Punihl Soriano was an undefeated fighter until he did lose that unanimous decision to Brendan Allen as he got out kickboxed for 3 rounds, and yeah, that was pretty much the story. I mean, his ribs in that fight were absolutely destroyed after that fight. Now, Nick Maximov, he's got a decent kicking game, a couple body kicks, a couple front kicks, leg kicks here and there. He will be taller, he will be lengthier, but does all of that mean he will have the striking advantage? No, it will not. Punihl is still definitely going to have the advantage on the feet. Very good boxing, really good power in his hands, and if he's going to win the fight, I would say it's probably going to be a knockout here in the first or second round. But Nick Maximov, you never know. He's got very good wrestling, very good grappling, going out there and pretty much dominating Cody Brundage and winning that one by unanimous decision, dominating Oscar Cota, a guy that was so much bigger in the heavyweight division, fighting Oscar Cota, as Nick Maximov, guess what, is a middleweight fighter. That is absolutely insane that he went on Contender Series, what, 3 weight classes above, light heavyweight, then a heavyweight. And I'm saying 3 weight classes because the difference from 185 to 265 is absolutely insane. So he's got very good wrestling and very good grappling. So I do believe there's 2 outcomes to the fight. One is Nick Maximov pulls out a very close 29-28 decision, out wrestling and out grappling to that win, or Punihl Soriano keeps the fight on the feet and wins the fight by knockout. I'm personally going to say it is a 50-50 fight. Minus 200, no way, Jose. It should be minus 110, minus 110. It is a very close fight. Nick Maximov, better wrestling, better grappling, taller, lengthier, younger. Punihl Soriano, better power, better boxing. Really how you want to look at that. So I am going to go Punihl Soriano to win the fight by knockout in the second round, but I can definitely see an outcome where Nick Maximov wrestles and grapples to a decision. So do not put Punihl in a parlay. That is a horrible choice there because of the wrestling and grappling of Nick Maximov. Very slightly going Punihl Soriano right here by a knockout. Would not be surprised if Nick Maximov gets the win, but really good fight in the middleweight division. Jack Hermansson and Sean Strickland in the middleweight division. A 5-round main event between, of course, the number, I believe is like number 4 or number 5 in the UFC middleweight division. Let's go on and check the UFC rankings, because this could have very good implications in the middleweight division. As of right now, Jack Hermansson is at number 6 and Sean Strickland is at number 7. So guys, right outside of the top 5. Personally, I say the winner of Sean Strickland and Jack Hermansson gets the loser of Derek Brunson versus Jared Cannonier. It's going to be a very good fight. Jack Hermansson is a very good wrestler, very good grappler. Is going to be a little bit lengthier than Sean Strickland as well. Getting a lot of submission wins on his record. Kelvin Gastelum, first round submission. David Brandt submission. Jerome Mercer submission. Thales Leites submission. And a lot of TKO wins as well. If you look at the UFC stats right here, the striking overwhelmingly is going to go Sean Strickland. He's got very good boxing. Really good pressure, really good cardio. I mean, he went out there and absolutely destroyed Uriah Hall. Even landed 4 takedowns on Uriah Hall. I mean, he dominated Krzysztof Jotko in the striking, destroyed Brendan Allen in the striking, knocks him out as well. And he absolutely destroyed both Jack Marshman and Nordine Taleb in the striking as well. So I do believe the striking advantage goes Sean Strickland. The grappling advantage does go Jack Hermansson. But if you look at how many times Sean Strickland has been taken down, it's not that many times. He has an 82% takedown defense, has only been taken down by who? By who? You're looking at him, the welterweight champion in Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, and a couple other guys early in his career. That was when he was a welterweight fighter. Now, he's in the middleweight division, and he has not been taken down even one time, and for those reasons, I think the fight stays on the feet for 5 rounds. 1 round might go Jack Hermansson, but other than that, 49-46 decision win for Sean Strickland right there. Really good fight in the middleweight division. But yeah, guys, that is my full card prediction for UFC Fight Night Hermansson versus Strickland. 13 fights on the entire fight card. How many middleweight fights have we had on this card? We had 1 middleweight fight, 2 middleweight fights, 3, 4, and 5 middleweight fights on this card. Absolutely insane. But my predictions are going to be Sean Strickland 49-46 decision, Puniho Soriano 2nd round knockout, Marc-Andre Barriault decision, Philip Rowe by a knockout, Jonathan Almeida submission, John Castañeda by a decision, Julian Erosa by a submission, Hakeem Dawodu decision, Tresean Gore a decision, Dennis Bondar submission, Shavkat Rakhmonov submission, Phil Hawes decision, and Alexis Davis by a decision. If you guys liked the video, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and everything like that, and we will see you in the next video. Let's go.